Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, my loves? Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. So, I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly Astro forecast for the week of February 5th through February 11th, 2024, right? So I sincerely hope that this week has found you well. If I sound a little nasally, it is because I am. I definitely have a cold right now. So if you hear me coughing or sniffling, that's definitely why. But I'm happy to be here. Wouldn't miss it for the world because this week we've got a lot going on. So, in contrast to last week, and if you watched the weekly Astro forecast last week, I was talking about how it was a light week. There wasn't much going on in the ethers. It was kind of a slow kind of week. Well, this is kind of the opposite. There is a lot going on in the sky this week. Most notably, we have the new moon for the month, which is going down in the sign of Aquarius. If you've watched any of my lives before, definitely in the last couple of weeks, you will know that Aquarius is kind of the hot button sign right now. Pluto just went into Aquarius not long ago, and we've got a slew of other planets in the sign of Aquarius. So wherever in your natal chart is where it is on and popping right now. And I don't even mean that lightly. All right. So, of course, before I get into all of the details, some housekeeping and announcements. So, if you are joining me live here tonight, and I already see Patricia Jean and Ramel, what's going on, guys? If you're joining me here tonight live, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate you. Feel free to say hello on your way in and hit that like button, please, and thank you. It definitely helps the channel. It lets the algorithm know that you like this content, and it will push it out to more people just like you who will also like this content, all right? And if you are joining me on the replay, I appreciate you just as much, and I sincerely hope that you get what you're looking for in this broadcast, right? And if you would be so kind as to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also hit that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content, all right? So if you are someone who's interested in your horoscope, but you have no idea where to look, or maybe what you're seeing isn't really resonating with you, then I highly suggest that you sign up for my text service where you will receive your weekly horoscope to your phone. You'll be texted every Monday. People seem to really like it. It's short, sweet, to the point, and people say it's really accurate. All right. So if you're interested, you will want to text the word Zodiac to the number 855-826-5544. All right. And that information will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is brand spanking new to astrology and you have absolutely no idea what's going on, or maybe you've started studying astrology or started getting a little acclimated to astrology and you're realizing that it's a lot, because it definitely can be, and it is. Don't worry, I've got you covered. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which essentially gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying and understanding astrology, but mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. All right. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a quick summary on all of these things so you can start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say about astrology, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below. It will also be pinned. It'll also be the first pinned comment under this video. All you have to do is click on the link, provide your email address, and you will be good to go. All right. So Last matter of business, I just started offering a new service called the Starter Pack. So if you are someone who maybe has not had your natal chart read, or maybe you have no idea of what your numerology is, then this will definitely be the service for you, because it is your natal chart report plus a numerology report all in one. And you get a 16-minute online consultation where I will basically enumerate everything to you. Basically, read your natal chart for filth, give you all of your important numerology numbers. So when you are done with this service, you have a very crystal clear idea of who you are and the different components of your life. I can't stress how important this is. And I call it the starter pack because if you've never had an astrological reading, if you've never had a numerology report, this is where you will want to start. All right. And if you want more information, that link will be in the description box below, as well as the service will be tagged to this video. All right. So check it out. This is definitely worth your time. All right. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about this week. So lots going on this week, and it's going to feel like a mixed bag of energy. There's some ups, there's some downs, there's some clarity, there's some intensity, there's a new moon, Mercury is moving signs. Like there's going to be a lot of this all over the place kind of energy. So if you find that it's sort of like a week where maybe you feel a little unsettled, maybe there's just a lot going on, maybe there's a lot coming up for you, this will definitely be the reason why, because there's just a lot going on in the sky this week. All right. Now, the new moon in Aquarius is going to be powerful, right? New moons typically are. But this new moon is coupled with the energy. Well, it's not conjunct to Pluto. However, Pluto just moved into Aquarius. So we have this intensity in Aquarius already, along with all of the other planets, right? And the moon, not the moon. Well, the moon is going to be in Aquarius, right? However, Mercury is also moving into Aquarius. So a lot of our consciousness, a lot of our focus, our ideas, our attention, and then a lot of our emotions are going to be very Aquarian this week. And when I say Aquarian, I mean having the energy signature of Aquarius. And Aquarius is a very, I want to say that one of the phrases that comes to mind first when I think of Aquarius is emotional detachment. Aquarius, although signified by the water bearer, is actually an air sign. So it has a lot to do with ideas, communication. And so it's not that it's devoid of emotion. It's just that it's more cerebral. It's more concerned with thinking rather than feeling. So this may be, and especially with Mercury, the sign of thoughts and ideas entering Aquarius today, actually, it's going to be one of those weeks where many of us may really be in our heads. Many of us may really be focused on the future. A lot of our thoughts, a lot of our communications are very future oriented. Or maybe we have these ideas of innovation, improvement, perhaps. Maybe there's an area of your life where you're really trying to make improvements, where you're really trying to make headway. And you may feel, or you may find that this may be a week where you're really in your head about it, which is not a bad thing. You just want to be mindful of perhaps overthinking things too much. And while it is great to think about the future, like that's very necessary, this is also a week where you may find it hard to be present because you're constantly thinking of perhaps what you don't have, what you need to do, what you're planning for, where your trajectory is, as opposed to what's going on right now. So all of this is to say that this is going to be a week where you may feel out of sorts a little bit. You may really be in your head. You may really be trying to think of a master plan and put pen to paper and think about the future that you want. And this is good. This is a good thing, especially as we lead up to this new moon in Aquarius, because the new moon is all about planting new seeds and setting new intentions. And with this new moon going down in Aquarius, it's letting us know that the future is now. We're planting seeds of the future right now. And so, of course, it behooves you to think about the future. It behooves you to take some time to think, all right, what do I want my future to look like? What do I want my life to look like, right? And it's important to understand that with all of this Aquarius energy, it starts in the mind. Remember, thoughts become things. So be mindful of what you're thinking about this week, because I feel like, again, you may be really in your head. Your mental acuities, your mental faculties may really be in overdrive this week. And if that's the case, make sure you're thinking good thoughts. Make sure you're thinking thoughts of a future that you want rather than what you don't want, what you don't like, who you don't want to be, where you don't want to go. This is going to be the week where you really need to get your mind right and situated and focused on the future. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So of course, we start off with the highlights. So first up, we have what I like to call innovate and invent. And this is Mercury entering Aquarius. So again, Mercury is a planet of ideas and communication. So our communication and our ideas are going to take on the energy signature of Aquarius. So it has a lot to do with thinking outside the box, has a lot to do with improving, innovating, and perhaps inventing new things. It's also about futuristic thinking and communication, right? So more of the same Aquarian energy, right? If you listened to my February monthly astro forecast, and if you haven't, I'll put that link in the description box below. I talk a lot about Aquarius energy because in the month of February, this month, we've got 6 planets in the sign of Aquarius. So again, get comfortable with that Aquarian energy because there's going to be a lot of intensity when it comes to that. All right. Then we have what I like to call seeds of the future. And this is the new moon in Aquarius. Remember, I just said the future is now and it all starts in your mind, right? So new things geared toward the future, right? This is going to be a focus on humanity and the collective because that's the energy signature of Aquarius. It's also about being quirky and different, right? Even though Aquarius is the sign of the collective, it's all about sort of finding your individuality within the collective, being your unique self, okay? And so with the new moon Aquarius, we sort of have the opportunity to create things that are very unique to us and things that may be remarkably different than what we've experienced or had in the past, all right? And then finally, we have what I like to call seeing clearly. And this is one of the more important transits of the week, which is the Sun sextile the North Node. All right. So this is about seeing the bigger picture and your part within it. It's about your purpose and it's about your mission. So apart from all of this random ass energy that we'll be feeling this week, one of the things that you may be experiencing is a certain feeling of purpose, a clarity of purpose, perhaps a reigniting of your purpose and seeing it very clearly in your mind's eye. All right. It's important that you don't let that get away from you with everything else that's going on this week. If you find that even if you get a tiny glimpse of what your future could be like or what you're here to do or what you're called to do, answer that call, hold that vision, take that sliver of whatever it is you're being shown and run with it, okay? Especially if you are experiencing this before the new moon. If you're experiencing it before the new moon, then those are the seeds that you're definitely going to want to plant, all right? Now let's get into the week and see exactly what we got day by day. As you can see, there's a lot going on. So today we've got Mercury in Aquarius, we've got the Sun sextile Chiron, we've got Mercury conjunct Pluto, which I will dare say is one of the most important transits of the week, and also Venus square Chiron. Then tomorrow on Tuesday, we've got the moon moving into Capricorn. On Wednesday, we've got another day full of stuff. We've got the Sun sextile the North Node, Venus square the North Node, Venus trine Uranus, and Mars sextile Neptune. Thereafter, on Thursday, we have the Sun square Uranus, and the moon will be moving into Aquarius, whereby on Friday, it will reach new moon status in Aquarius. And then we close out the week on Saturday with Mercury square Jupiter and the moon in Pisces. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my loves. So we start off the week with a bang with a whole bunch of cosmic activity. So first up, we have Mercury moving into Aquarius. Now that all of that stuff going on at the top of the chart, that's basically summing up what the day is going to be like. All right. So we've got Mercury at 0 degrees Aquarius. You'll also see it right smack next to Pluto, which is also at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Okay. So thereafter, we have the Sun sextile Chiron. The Sun is at 16 degrees of Aquarius and Chiron is at 16 degrees of Aries. Then, like I just mentioned, we've got Mercury conjuncts Pluto. Both of those planets are at 0 degrees Aquarius. Then we've got Venus square Chiron. So Venus is at 16 degrees of Capricorn and Chiron is at 16 degrees of Aquarius. All right, so let's break this down granularly and see what we got going on. So first up, Mercury into Aquarius. So Mercury is ideas and communication. Aquarius is an air sign. It's all about knowledge, right? The key phrase for Aquarius is I know. So with Mercury in Aquarius, it's almost like we have this hunger for knowledge. We want to know more. We want to learn more, right? And in doing so, we open ourselves up to new and original ideas. So it's not even so much learning about, it wouldn't be like learning history. It would be more like learning science or physics or something like that. It's new discoveries, new ideas, new consciousness even is sort of what we hunger for, and Mercury is in Aquarius, all right? Mercury in Aquarius has us thinking outside the box. So the modern ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is all about originality. It's all about intuition. And so it's also about rebellion and breaking out of the mold. So again, this knowledge that we hunger for, this newness that we desire, we want something new, something different, something innovative. Like for instance, I mean, it was a couple of days ago, I assume, right? I've mostly been seeing the advertisements yesterday and today, but the new Apple Vision Pro, I believe it's called, was just released. And that is a perfect example of like Mercury in Aquarius. New discoveries, new inventions, these new glasses, goggles, whatever they are, I don't know, where you can literally do things virtually. Like this is the essence of not only the Aquarian age, but again, this intense Aquarius stellium that we have right now with all of these planets in Aquarius, but definitely Mercury in Aquarius. So these are the things that we want to see more of. We want to see more inventions. We want to see more cool technological advancements, right? Sorry, I just blanked out for a second. I was seeing these goggles and I'm like, wow, these things look really weird. Okay. But apparently like people are, I guess, really liking them. So I don't know. I may have to pause for water breaks because my throat is kind of on fire right now. But in any event, we also become very progressive minded. Now, remember I said Aquarius has a lot to do with innovation and improvement. And so our thinking becomes a lot more progressive. Rather than just thinking about what we are or what we've been, we tend to think about what we could be, how we can expand our minds, how we can change, how we can evolve in a sense, especially with Pluto being in Aquarius. It's all about evolution right now, how we think, how we see ourselves, the futuristic. Here's a perfect example. The Jetsons. You remember the cartoon, The Jetsons, right? And what's so funny is that I believe that cartoon debuted in like the 60s or the 70s. And all of the things that were in that particular cartoon, except for the flying cars, have come to fruition. So it's almost like that, like this futuristic, improved way of thinking and just thinking more futuristically, obviously, but progressively as well. Okay. So it's very important that during this time, during this Mercury in Aquarius transit, right, which will last about 2 to 3 weeks, it's important to, number one, not only think outside the box, but it's important to allow your mind to wander. Now, while Aquarius isn't like Pisces, right? Pisces has a lot to do with our imagination and being fantastical. It's like Aquarius is kind of willing to push the envelope and really push the boundary of where our minds can go. This is how you invent things. This is how you progress. And most importantly, this is how you evolve. So it's really important that during this time, you don't really harp on the past too much, right? Now, again, we don't want to be completely in the future because then it sort of robs us of the present. However, If you're stuck in the past, if you're thinking about how things worked out, like, again, the seed that you plant right now in your mind, especially with Mercury and Pluto and Aquarius, like those are the things that are going to start to cement. Okay. And so it's really important that you're not cementing the past or things that you don't want or things that you don't want to experience. Think of the future and allow yourself to be a little bold and a little quirky and a little different. Allow yourself to push the boundaries of where your mind can go. All right. And it's also about envisioning a better future. I did a live with Rob Blackstorm and Monique Ruffin, the Moon Mama, yesterday. It's our bi-monthly live where we talk about the upcoming, moon. And yesterday we're talking about the new moon. And Monique reminded me that the Aquarius, so every zodiac sign rules a different part of the body. And Aquarius rules the cones of your eyes, which I find fascinating because I talk about Aquarian energy as being future oriented, right? It's like Aquarius is literally like, I want you to see your future. I want you to envision your future. And that's what we need to be focusing on right now, particularly as we make our way to the new moon in Aquarius. Okay. So then the next transit that we have today is Sun sextile Chiron. All right. And I love this because this is a great transit that can really bring out your inner healer, your inner artist, and your inner teacher or leader. Now, the sun has a lot to do with our personality. It also has a lot to do with our purpose. And Chiron has a lot to do with our wounds. It has a lot to do with our emotional trauma and stuff. But it also has a lot to do with teaching and leading, because it's in understanding our wounds that we're able to provide that blueprint to others. And so, again, this sort of goes to what I was saying before in the highlight section about how, well, it's actually the sun sextile the North Node, where you're going to be seeing your purpose in life, right? And the part that you play in it. Sun sextile Chiron happening today is going to add to that. Right? It's sort of going to give you a certain level of consciousness when it comes to the things that you have overcome. And it's sort of going to get you in the mindset of like, wait a minute. So I went through this ordeal and I was able to overcome it. And maybe now is the time for me to give my testimony. Maybe it's time for me to shine, right? Like the sun, and teach people by example. Step up and be a natural leader. Right? So many of your natural inclinations, especially when it comes to the things that you've overcome, the things that you've healed within yourself, you're going to be sort of a shining example to others so that they can do the same. So this is also about allowing yourself to be seen and perhaps giving a testimony of what you have experienced. So this is also a time to not necessarily be so silent. This is a time to let people know, hey, this is sort of what I've done, or just allowing yourself to be expressive for better or for worse, and letting people know what you've overcome, what you've experienced, because trust and believe there are always people watching. And I feel like this is one of those transits where the right people who are going to be looking for the right information, the right role models even, will find you. So this is the time to really give your testimony. This is really the time to shine as the healed version of yourself. Allow yourself to lead others by example. All right. It's a beautiful sort of energy that's available to us today. Okay. Then next, we've got Mercury conjunct Pluto. Okay. So both are at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And basically this adds depth and intensity to whatever you are thinking right now. So I just went on and on about thinking about the future and envisioning the future, right? With Aquarius ruining Aquarius ruling the cones of your eyes, right? Envisioning the future. Now, with Mercury conjunct Pluto, whatever you're thinking, it's going to only intensify. And we're on this track to creating our futures with all of this Aquarian energy. So be mindful of what you're thinking, because these are the things that are going to weigh heavily on your mind. It's this transit that's going to have you overthinking things or ruminating on things, particularly things that you don't like, right? Because Pluto has a lot to do with, hey, teen, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Pluto has a lot to do with what is underneath the surface. And so, with Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, a lot of perhaps our subconscious thoughts, a lot of our bad habits, a lot of our traumas, even may come to the forefront of our thoughts. And we may think about it in a very intense sort of way where we're kind of ruminating on it, right? And as we make our way to the new moon, these are not the things that you want to carry, because these are the seeds that are going to be planted. So I say all of that to say, mind your thoughts. Keep them focused on the future, particularly what you want to experience, okay? Now, Mercury conjunct Pluto also has a very sort of psychological element to it, and also kind of an occult element to it as well. Mercury and Pluto will definitely allow you to see what's under the surface, read between the lines, and sort of pick up on nonverbal cues, okay? You can understand a lot more with Mercury conjunct Pluto, okay? So it's also great for studying things like astrology, psychology, the occult, all of that good stuff. But it's also a transit that can really fuck with your minds, right? Pluto energy has a lot to do with control, power struggles. Now, it may be your own mind that's controlling you. It's like your mind is walking you like a dog, basically. It may be others who may be manipulating you when it comes to mind control, things like telepathy, a whole bunch of all of that kind of stuff really thrives with this particular transit, okay? However, it's also a transit that can allow for very profound discoveries, particularly within the recesses of your own mind. So while it is great to uncover things from the surface, it's very important that whatever you uncover, if it's not what you want to perpetuate or what you want to bring into the future, recognize it for what it is and let it go. All right. Because otherwise, you may be overthinking about it. You may be ruminating on it. And again, these are not the type of things that you want to bring into this new moon in Aquarius. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. And then finally for today, we've got Venus square Chiron. All right. So this is one of those transits that don't necessarily feel good, because this is sort of feeling triggered via your either relationships or money issues, right? Chiron, like I mentioned before, has a lot to do with our wounds, our traumas. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And anytime it squares Venus, it's like old relationship wounds, issues in relationships, issues, pertaining to money may trigger wounds within you, okay? And while triggering is uncomfortable, obviously, it's a source of information. It lets you know what you still need to work on, what still bothers you, what's still lying underneath the surface, right? Now, Venus is in Capricorn. So with Venus in Capricorn, it may have a lot to do with money. And it's like Chiron in Aries, really. It's like you want to start something new, but perhaps issues related to money, insecurities related to money, could even be relationships, business relationships, work relationships, make you feel like you are prevented from starting something new. You want to start something new, but you're triggered and you don't know why, or it feels like this insurmountable thing that you just cannot get over, right? And again, anytime we're triggered, it's information. So whatever comes up, allow it to inform you as to what still needs healing or what still needs work or what you haven't addressed that you finally have the opportunity to address, okay? It's time to gain clarity on your own priorities, but also to allow relationships to be a vehicle for you to gain greater appreciation for your work and your worth, all right? So take that for what it is, merely information, and work on the issues that come up. All right. So it's Monday. Let's keep it moving. All right. So Tuesday, the only thing we've got going on is we've got the moon moving into Capricorn. And you will see that at the upper left-hand portion of the chart in the red circle. The moon is at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So when the moon is in Capricorn, we get serious. This is the time when we understand the need for structure and discipline in our lives. Perhaps when the moon is in Capricorn, you think of goals and things that you want to achieve, and you're willing to put in the work to achieve them, okay? Achievement and manifestation are important. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste resources. It's like you really want to get serious about getting from point A to point B, all right? Now, when the moon is in Capricorn, it can be rather sobering and a little depressing because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn has everything to do with obstacles, delays, challenges. It's like we become a lot more aware of these things. We become aware of where perhaps we need to be more serious in our lives, okay? And that it's almost like when the moon is in Capricorn, we realize that we have to adult now. We have to be responsible. We have to do a lot of things that we don't necessarily want to do, but that we need to do that will ensure security or success in our lives, right? Ultimately, it's a productive time, right? Now, we're in the waning phase of the moon because we're making our way from the full moon to the new moon. So this is when we let go of what we no longer need. And with the moon in Capricorn, it's when we get serious about that. It's like it's time to stop playing and it's time to do our work. It's time to stop living in filth or whatever, and it's time to clean up. It's time to get organized. It's time to get serious, all right? And let go of the things that perhaps stand in our way when it comes to achievement or when it comes to success, all right? So again, it can be sobering but ultimately necessary. All right, let's keep it moving. So we make it to Wednesday, and on Wednesday we have another full day of cosmic activity. So we start off with the sun sextile the North Node. You'll see the sun at 18 degrees of Aquarius. The North Node is at 17 degrees of Aries. Then we've got Venus square the North Node. Venus is at 19 degrees of Capricorn. And again, the North Node is at 17 degrees of Aries. Then we've got Venus trine Uranus. You will see Venus at 19 degrees of Capricorn. Uranus is at 19 degrees of Taurus. And then finally, we've got Mars sextile Neptune. Mars is at, can't see anything, 25 degrees of Capricorn. And Neptune is at 25 degrees of Pisces. So again, another full day of activity. So Sun sextile North Node. This is one of those transits where you have the opportunity to make strides toward your purpose, your mission, wherever you are headed in life. You have the opportunity to, or opportunities will present themselves to sort of further you along on your journey, okay? This is a time to be creative. This is a time where you may meet the right people, especially if you are really being yourself. The sun shines regardless, right? And anytime we have the sun in our natal chart or any sort of astrological chart, it really represents your authentic self, right? Like your unique self. And so it's in being your unique self that you are able to attract the right people, places, and things that are going to get you on the right path, all right? But you have to do it from a place of authenticity. If you're doing it from a place of or if you're doing it from a place of, the wrong reasons, the wrong intention, or really your heart isn't in it, it's like you're going to miss the bus, right? The right opportunities are not going to be able to find you. It's in being your authentic self that those opportunities can make their way to you. So remember that as you go through this week. Now, I've already sort of alluded to the fact that a lot of the energy of this week has a lot to do with our purpose and has a lot to do with seeing our purpose clearly, thinking of the future. And you're going to want to do it from a place of authenticity. And I cannot stress that enough. All right. Then we've got Venus square the North Node. So at the same time that we are being ourselves and attracting the right people, we're also becoming aware of the relationships that may be standing in the way of being on the right track. And it's sometimes Venus square the North Node can be very difficult because it's almost like you have an idea of where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to be doing, But it's like maybe the environment that you're in, maybe the people that are surrounding you are not in alignment with where you're supposed to be going. And while it may not require you to completely sever ties, it does require you to be intentional about how your relationships need to change. And that can be difficult, right? It's almost like when you've outgrown certain people. Maybe you've had a friend since kindergarten, and maybe you guys have been friends for so long, and all throughout childhood that friendship made sense. But now in your adulthood, you realize that you two are on two completely different paths. And it's sort of well, we've been friends for so long and it's not like we have a problem. Why would we stop being friends? It's just that you no longer resonate with each other. And that's kind of what this particular transit entails. It's like we're no longer on the same wavelength. Or in some cases, it becomes painfully obvious that this person is not on the same wavelength, but actually maybe standing in the way of you going forward. So it's this awareness of the relationships that are closest to us and whether they're in alignment with where we're going, who we're becoming, that can make this transit kind of difficult. So have grace with yourself and others as you figure this out, right? Whenever we're talking about the North Node, we're talking about our North Star, right? And it's a journey and it's a learning experience. And it's not to say that you realize what your purpose is today and then you're cutting everyone off tomorrow, although there probably are some people who are like that. However, it's more about this evolution. And perhaps you have relationships that are meant to evolve with you. And if that's the case, that's great. But you also have to give them the room, the space, and the time to do so. Whereas other relationships may not make the cut. And this particular transit is going to show you that. It's going to really have you understanding and become conscious of the relationships that are closest to you and whether they align with where you're going and who you are becoming. All right. Now, on the other hand, at the same time, we also have Venus making a trine to Uranus. And so this is like also a breath of fresh air. It may be surprising. This may be where you encounter, it's like chance encounters, surprise encounters with people that you may have never actually thought that you would meet, thought that you would talk to, thought that you would interact with. It may be, at the one hand, you're starting to understand the relationship that may not make the cut. And at the very same time, it's like the universe is bringing in the people who are going to make the cut. So you have to be really flexible and adaptable. You can't just be rigid and be like, well, this is my friend and it doesn't matter and whatever. Meanwhile, the universe is like, I'm trying to bring someone to you who could really take you forward or who can really vibe with the person that you are becoming. So it's this flexibility that you're going to have to maintain, okay? Now, on a more mundane level, this is like windfalls of money. Venus trine Uranus, gambling is favored. This may be, wanting to experience new type of love, a different type of love, different type of relationship. This may be a surprising business encounter, right? Because both Venus and Uranus are an earth sign. So this could also have a very heavy money component to it in a good way. So surprise money coming your way, random check in the mail, a business opportunity that suddenly presents itself, a business relationship that suddenly forms out of nowhere with someone random that really takes you where you need to go. So you definitely need to remain flexible to however the universe is trying to move you right now, right? And that flexibility may be recognizing a relationship that's not meant to move forward while simultaneously embracing one that is. All right. Like I said, this week is a mixed bag of a whole bunch of stuff. So be open, be flexible, and be receptive to whatever the universe is trying to throw your way. All right. And then finally for Wednesday, we've got Mars sextile Neptune. This is a great time for romance. It's a great time for creativity. This particular transit, it can have you being very proactive about your spirituality. There may be this resurgence or this newfound igniting of your spirituality, of your creativity. This is about spiritual truths. This is about being very sensitive about your desires and really wanting to go after them. Neptune is the planet of dreams. And so with Mars sextile Neptune, it's like being proactive about taking action steps toward your dreams. Okay. So think about how that factors into a lot of what I've already said, right? About your North Node and seeing your purpose and all of this stuff. Like there's a lot of headway that could be made this week in terms of your future, right? Because we're dealing with all of this Aquarius energy, but not just the future, your purpose, the people who are meant to be in your future, your desires, what you want your future to look like. Mars sextile Neptune is just adding fuel to the fire of your dreams and your desires. All right. So this may be something that perhaps you thought about in the past, right? And it not just doesn't have a retrograde feel to it. I'm not saying that at all, but I get the sense that this could be a long held dream that maybe you put to the side for a little bit. Maybe you got distracted and couldn't really address it. Mars sextile Neptune may have an opportunity present itself that it reignites this dream that you've had, right? Because Mars is currently in Capricorn. Capricorn has a lot to do with success, right? When you think about Capricorn, think about running a marathon, right? It's a journey, a long one, but think about how you feel crossing the finish line after having ran, jogged, or even walked 26 miles, right? That achievement. So it feels like a long-held dream that you had put to the side and is now becoming reignited. And that's a great thing because that is going to clue you into perhaps the seeds you want to plant at the new moon in Aquarius. All right? So keep that in mind. So that's Wednesday. Let's keep it moving. All right, so next up on Thursday, we start off with the Sun square Uranus, and you will see the Sun at 19 degrees of Aquarius. Uranus is at 19 degrees of Taurus. And then we have the Moon moving into Aquarius, which you will see in the red circle, the upper right-hand corner. You'll see the Moon at 3 degrees of Aquarius. All right, so first up, Sun square Uranus. This is another one of those transits that's going to require you to be flexible, okay? So it's almost like we're entering this period of uncertainty, right? You know what you're supposed to do. You know who perhaps is not coming with you. You've seen perhaps the people who may make the cut and move into the future with you, but everything still feels uncertain. You may feel a little excuse me, unsteady. You may feel a little shaky. You may feel a little unsure. You know that change is coming, but you don't quite know what it is yet. But you feel this perhaps underlying anxiety, this underlying nervousness even, because it's like things are changing, but you don't quite know what it is. And don't allow that to scare you. Just because you're not certain of the future doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. Remember, you are creating the future. What did I say before about Aquarius? It's envisioning the future through the cones of your eyes, right? So understand that this change may be abrupt. It may be surprising, but it's ultimately bringing you into the future, which is super important. And where does all of that start? It starts in the mind. And with the moon moving into Aquarius as well on the same day, it's like we're really on board. It's like we're on this train that is going into this uncharted territory, right? We're not necessarily sure what the destination is, but we're kind of excited about it. We're open to the possibilities. We're open to the fact that wherever this destination is, it's likely very different from where we're starting this journey. And we're open to it. We're receptive to it. We're a little nervous. We're like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I know that this is going to be good. So just go with it. And don't allow your fear and anxiety to drive the train, or to conduct the train, I should say. Because if you allow that, that's all that's going to manifest into the future. Be open and receptive. I'm not saying you shouldn't be nervous or you shouldn't be concerned, right? But don't let that be your overwhelming emotion. Be open, be flexible, be ready. Because where we're headed is going to be a lot different than where we're starting out, all right? And this leads us into This leads us into Friday, where we have the new moon in Aquarius, okay? You will see both the sun and the moon will be at 20 degrees of Aquarius. And this is ground zero for the future. New moons are all about setting new intentions, planting new seeds, and that is going to be very obvious at this new moon in Aquarius, but we're planting seeds of the future. And allow yourself to think outside the box. Allow yourself to envision a future that is completely different from the present that you are experiencing, all right? I'm dropping a video on Wednesday dedicated to the new moon in Aquarius, so I'm not going to go too much into detail right now. Suffice it to say, though, this is going to be a new moon that is going to be quirky. It's going to be different. It's going to keep you on your toes, right? It's also a new moon that sort of encapsulates endings and beginnings all in one. Now, remember what I said before. With Venus square the North Node, while it's also trining Uranus, you're becoming aware of the relationships that perhaps have to end, while simultaneously embracing relationships that are taking you into the future. And that can also sum up the energy of this new moon in Aquarius. It's like letting go of the past and embracing the future simultaneously, and planting seeds that you want to see grow into the future. No matter, here's the thing. Aquarius energy has a lot to do with invention and innovation, right? So perhaps the future that you're envisioning has never existed. Don't rely on what the past has looked like to create your future. Allow your future to be completely different. Allow your mind to break down barriers as to what is possible. Let's say, I used the example of the Jetsons before, right? Let's say you want to have a floating car in the future. Plant that seed. Like, no bullshit. The new moon in Aquarius is like, I want your weirdest. I want your most innovative. I want your most different, quirky ideas. Plant them now. Because the future is now. I mean, look at the things that we're enjoying now. Like, I was having a conversation with somebody before about MapQuest, right? Remember before there was GPS? You would go on MapQuest and you would have to print out the directions before you got in the car. And then a lot of times MapQuest was on some bullshit and it was wrong, right? Now we have pocket GPSs. Now we're going to have goggles with GPS in them, right? Like, the future is now. Don't rely on the past to determine your future. Create a future that looks nothing like anything you've ever experienced. These are the seeds you're going to want to plant at this new moon. It's going to be dope. This is going to be one of those new moons you don't want to sit out on, okay? It's also going to be square to Uranus, so there's going to be some twists, some turns, some curveballs thrown your way, right? Remember I said it's like you're cognizant of what you got to let go and what you have to embrace at the same time. And the universe is like, I need you on your feet. I need you to be flexible because I'm throwing things your way. You want this future. All right. I'm helping facilitate that for you. Be open and receptive to it. Okay. What else do we have? It's also going to be trying the South Node. So when it talks about endings, like it's good relationships that have to be let go, you're going to have to let them go. Because where we're going into the future, some of these relationships will not be able to survive. And I know that sucks, right? Because again, maybe you've had long-standing relationships or relationships that just remind you of your comfort zone. And Spirit is like, you want flying cars. You can't be this futuristic mindset unless you are vibing with people on that same mindset, like you kind of have to allow that relationship to be relinquished or let it go so that it can change and it can evolve. It may not be you got to let this person go completely, but maybe you have to be open to the relationship changing. Okay. So again, we're letting go of the past while simultaneously embracing the future. But again, I'll be dropping a video on Wednesday all about the new moon in Aquarius. So hit that notification bell so you'll be notified as soon as it drops. All right. So that is Friday. Let's keep it moving. So we close out the week on Saturday first with Mercury square to Jupiter. You will see Mercury at 8 degrees of Aquarius and you will see Jupiter at 8 degrees of Taurus. And then the moon will be moving into Pisces and you will see that at the right-hand portion of the chart with the moon at 5 degrees of Pisces. All right, so first up, Mercury square Jupiter. Now, even though a square is a harsh transit, meaning that it denotes tension and frustration, it's like iron sharpens iron. Anytime you have a planet like Jupiter, it's ultimately a good thing, right? So this can give you an optimistic and positive outlook. It's a great transit for making plans. It's also seeing the bigger picture of things, which is great. And coupled with the moon in Pisces, you may feel overly optimistic, overly like now that you've got this vision, right? You planted these seeds of the future with the new moon in Aquarius. Now you're like, see, all you can see is the future. All you can see is the big picture, the trajectory of where you're going, right? So it can, again, take you away from the present and sort of have you planted into the future, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you still kind of need to be a little grounded. So the astrology of Saturday sort of lends itself to head in the clouds, seeing bigger picture, living in the future, but sort of disregarding the present. So be mindful because that can lead to things like over optimism, overestimation, really just having your head in the clouds and not paying attention to what's going on right in front of you. Whereas what's going on right in front of you may be important because, again, with all of these Uranus transits this week, it's like spirit is like trying to show you certain things in your immediate environment that can help get you to the future. So you don't want to be too much in the future that you miss what spirit is trying to give you right now. Okay. So other than that, with the moon being in Pisces, this is dreaming, this is creativity. So allow your imagination to start shaping the future, the seeds of which you planted at that new moon in Aquarius. So now it's time to visualize. Now it's time to imagine. Now it's time to feel it real. Embody the future that the seeds of which you've planted at the new moon in Aquarius, and start to see that unfold step by step. It's a great way to end the week after a week of being all over the place. But if I had to sum up the energy of this week, it's sort of like having your eyes on the future, noticing what has to go, noticing what's coming in, right? That's in alignment with where you're headed, and then visualizing what that future is going to be like. We're going to have different iterations of that main theme of what I just described all throughout the week. And at some points, we may be triggered a little bit to show us where we need a little healing work, where we need to sort of double down and really get in touch with our wounds and things like that. But by and large, this is a week where we are becoming crystal clear on who we are, what we're meant to do, and what we want our future to look like. Interesting as hell for a week, right? All right, so that is the astrology of the week in a nutshell. So now let's get to some messages from Spirit. All right, my love. So we've come to that point of the broadcast where I will be pulling some cards for messages from Spirit. So I do it by sign. It could be your sun sign, your moon sign, your Venus sign, Jupiter, North Node. Doesn't matter. If it's your message, it is your message. And if it doesn't resonate, let it go. All right. So as always, we start with Aries. So let's see what we've got for Aries for this week. Aries, I feel like you guys are going to be in for a big surprise this week. A big surprise. Aries, you've got the 8 of Cups, right? So this may be some sort of a surprising event. that really shows you what you need to let go of, what you need to abandon, what needs to stay in the past. I feel like for you especially, it's almost like you have this flash of insight. Like, yes, this is what I want the future to look like. This is what I'm envisioning. It's like I'm seeing this vision becoming crystal clear. And at the same time, you're also like, oh, but this, yeah, no, this can't come into the future with me. This doesn't make any sense for what I'm trying to achieve or where I'm trying to go. So there's this element of leaving things behind. There's this element of walking away from someone, something, or some place this week. But I get the sense that you feel comfortable with it because you're very much devoted to this future vision. Just mind how you move with this. Some of you may be so adamant and convicted, of your future vision that you're willing to just torch this relationship, torch this place. I'm hoping not literally, but like burn this bridge immediately. And Spirit is like, okay, I understand that you realize that, all right, this isn't working, but you don't necessarily need to burn the bridge. Just focus on the future and let this relationship sort of work itself out. Or let this thing just kind of fall by the wayside. You don't have to set it on fire before you leave. Okay? Interesting. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. Taurus. We've got the Death card. Taurus, sort of along the same lines as Aries' message, but a little more intense. There is a transformation that is going on right now, and there is something that is done, like done, dead, like done, over. And it is giving way and it's giving life to something completely new and different. Look to see where Aquarius is in your chart. If you're Taurus rising, Aquarius is going to be your 11th house of friendship and goals. So as a Taurus rising, if this message resonates with you, there is a goal that you're just like, no more. Like, I don't want that anymore. And it's giving way to a completely new goal that may be very different. Or this could be a friendship that's like, yeah, this shit is done. It's done. And you're going to find a whole new friendship that's going to start to form in the weeks and months to come. But suffice it to say, there is a profound transformation going on in your life right now. Allow it. Surrender to it. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to control it. Let it be and let it play out the way that it is meant to play out. It's going to be very different. Life is going to be very different for you on the other side. However, it's going to be glorious. So allow and surrender. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. Gemini, we've got the Hermit card. So this is the sign of Virgo. So there may be a Virgo or someone with a Virgo placement that is prominent this week. There may be something going on with you. However, this is also letting me know that it is time to retreat into your cave for a little bit. There's some sort of enlightenment that is trying to find you. Some sort of inner enlightenment that you need to take the time to uncover or discover. So this may be a week where you're kind of withdrawn, perhaps that you are really just keeping to yourself. There may be something that you're trying to learn that requires you to sort of isolate and really focus and dedicate your time and energy to this thing. However, I feel like when the week is said and done, there is going to be this clarity that you could have only gained by going within and isolating. So it will behoove you, especially if you are, and I love my Geminis, but Geminis are very social. Y'all love to be around people. Y'all love to be talking to people, hanging out with people, like really being out there, right? This may be a week where you want to hang back a little bit and where you may want to really just spend some alone time figuring things out. I'm also hearing like tinkering with something. So it could be learning something new, physically tinkering with something. You know, this Aquarius energy is bringing out the inner inventor in all of us. So some of you may be tinkering with something this week, but have some alone time. I think it'll definitely be worth your while. Okay. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for this week. All right, Cancer, we've got the Three of Wands. There is a certain expectation that you have this week. It's almost like you have put forth energy and effort into something and you're waiting for that energy to come back to. You're waiting to see the results of something. And and you have this very anticipatory kind of energy. Like you're really expecting to hear from something or someone. Could be a job, could be some sort of communication, but you're in this expectancy mode this week and you're very fired up about it. Uh, I'm getting the sense that some of you are also anticipating like a conflict, almost like you feel like you have to brace yourselves because you're like, okay, I did this or I said this, and I know that this person is going to come back like with a counter offer or with a rebuttal of some sort. So some of you may also be in this like fighting mode where you're like, yo, I know this person is going to come back with some bullshit, or this person is not going to accept what I've offered or what I've put out there. If you're expecting a fight, you're going to have a fight, point blank, period. So I don't know. Even spirit is like, I don't know. It's all about however you envision the situation, that's how it's going to play out. But some of you are expecting a fight, and I think that there's a fight is going to ensue because whatever it is, you're also very sensitive about it. Like you're sensitive and you're like very defensive about it. So some of you are expecting a conflict. I'm also like something as simple as like you're putting in your PTO and you know that your manager or your supervisor is going to come back and say, nah, I don't think so. Or it's going to be a fight or something like that. Like that's sort of what I'm getting for you, Cancer. So again, if you're expecting a fight you shall have. All right. That was an interesting message. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for this week. Leo, we've got the Page of Swords. I heard looky loo. Some of you are observing something. Some of you are being a little nosy this week. And since you're being nosy, I'm going to be nosy and pull another card and try to figure out what you're being nosy about. But yes, I see some of you like lurking, like, you're checking something out. I want to know what this thing is. We've got the Knight of Swords. So some of you are checking someone out. It's like you're looking to see if you can talk to someone, have a conversation with someone. So it's like perhaps there's a conversation that you need to have with someone, but you're really trying to like read them before you have this conversation. You've got a lot to say and you don't know how it's going to be received. So you're kind of like trying to gauge, can I have this conversation with this person? How are they going to react? What kind of mood are they in this week? Like, is it even the right time to have this? I feel like you want to ask for something. So I don't know if it's a favor, if it's a request or something, but you're trying to figure out how this person, what mood this person is in, what state of mind they're in, so that you can ask for this thing. Because whatever this thing is, it could be money. I'm definitely getting it's money. And you're like, I don't know how can I best approach this person so they'll lend me this money or they'll give me this money or whatever. This could be like a business proposal also. Some of you are doing research. Perhaps you're meeting with an investor and you're doing some research to figure out what's the best thing, what's the best angle I can attack this so that this person will give me my money, right? So you're doing research, you're being a little nosy, trying to figure out, okay, like, oh, I noticed that this guy has 3 kids. Maybe I should talk to him about kids and my kids, and maybe we can vibe on that level and he'll be more amenable to giving me this money, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting for you, Leo. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, do your due diligence, do your research so that you can figure out the best way to ask for what it is that you need. All right. Keeping it moving. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for this week. Virgo, we've got the Strength card. Do not hold back this week. Say it loud, say it proud, say it with your chest. Let your freak flag fly. There's something about you being uniquely yourself, saying what's on your mind. No holds barred, no filter. that you need to embrace this week. And don't be afraid to burn that bridge. Don't be afraid to light somebody's ass up. Don't be afraid to bark. Don't even be afraid to have your bite bigger than your bark. There's something about having your presence known this week. There's something about really putting yourself out there unapologetically that's going to be really important. Remember, I said earlier in the broadcast, I was talking about the right relationships, the right things that need to put you on the right path will find you if you are being your authentic self. And Virgo, it's time to not be that meek virgin, that very perfectionist, like everything is looking perfect. Like, let people see your mess. Let people see what you're really about. Maybe it's time to really tell your testimony, right? I believe it was Sun sextile Chiron for you is going to be very important this week, Virgo. It's like, allow people to see what you've healed from, and don't be meek about it. Don't be humble about it. Like, be like, yeah, I did this. I went through this. Yeah, it sucked. Yeah, it was hard, but look at me now. I'm thriving now. Like, allow people to really hear you. Allow people to really see you in all of your glory, good, bad, and ugly. And as a Virgo sun, I know that's hard because we like to appear perfect. We don't like people seeing our mess. This is the week where you need to let people see all your shit. It's going to be beneficial to you in a way that you probably would not figure and in a way that you likely wouldn't anticipate. So this is a week to really be yourself, Virgo. It's going to pay off in dividends that you could never have even imagined. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for this week. Libra, we've got the King of Cups. I heard you are in your feelings, Libra. So you may be in your feelings. However, whatever is triggering you this week is ultimately to get you to have a better control of your emotions. So there's some emotional healing that needs to be had this week, Libra. And it's going to rock the boat a little bit. What is that saying? The best sailors are made in storms, right? And so it may be a week that may be emotionally all over the place for you, but ultimately it's to get you to steady your emotions, to have control over your emotions. You can't have control over emotions that you are not feeling. And so whatever is coming up is getting you to feel what it is, let it go, and don't allow it to control you. It's time for you to really understand how you feel about certain things and get to the bottom of why you feel how you feel in order to master your emotions. For some, there also may be a encounter with a King of Swords. Doesn't have to necessarily be a man, but it could be someone who is a water sign, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or just a situation that may be highly emotional, that may evoke an emotional response from you in an effort to get you to heal so you can master your emotions. By no means is this meant to just trigger you and just have you in your feelings and not feeling good and being swayed all over the place by your emotions. No, this is to get you to master your emotions this week. So glean the lessons that come up from these emotional triggers and do the healing work. All right. Next up is Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio. Scorpio, we've got the Queen of Swords. I'm getting that this is a woman, okay? This is a woman or someone who identifies as a woman, feminine energy that is perhaps, I do see some sort of a conversation, but it's a very direct and blunt conversation with a woman. And this woman, I'm hearing she spares no expense. So she is not interested in sparing your emotions. Whatever she has to say, she's going to say it, and she's going to say it in a very direct way. So this could be some sort of, it could be like a business situation where there's no time or space for pleasantries. I feel like it's just, let's get down to business. This is what it is. This is what it is. It could be a little bit of a back and forth. It could be a little confrontational, but I don't get the sense that it's going to be like a fight or anything like that. It's like, this is what it is. Let's find a solution. This is the problem. Let's find a solution, fix the issue, get this done, get this work completed. It's a very cut and dry conversation I hear you having with a female or a woman, okay? And she is very decisive. However, whatever this decision, whatever this conversation is, it's sort of going to be very different than perhaps if you've had conversations with this woman in the past. This conversation is going to be slightly different. Whatever you're working on is going to lead to a different result or a different situation. There's an element of transformation in this conversation that's happening. Okay. So try not to get too worked up. I don't feel like this person is coming at you in order to be confrontational, but I think they're telling you what you ultimately need to hear. So be receptive to it, even if it hurts a little bit. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. So let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. Sagittarius, we've got the Tower card. So something is coming down, surprisingly. Okay. Now, remember, I said before, it's like we're kind of letting go of the past and simultaneously embracing the future. The past is definitely crumbling down this week for you, Sagittarius. It's going to be surprising. It's going to be triggering, but it's necessary. Whatever is falling, don't try to piece it back together as it is falling. Allow and surrender to this destruction, for lack of a better word. Whatever this was, it can't come into the future with you. And it may be painful, and it may require you to mourn the loss of whatever this thing is. But understand that the coming down of this tower is actually going to give you a much bigger, much broader, much clearer perspective of what the future looks like. Imagine this building was obstructing your view. There's this whole future ahead of you, but you couldn't see it because of this. This tower was literally standing in the way of your vision. And now that it's coming apart, the future is looking a lot brighter. It's looking a lot clearer. So although it hurts that this thing that's been in your way for quite some time is dismantling, is falling apart, it's actually giving way to a much bigger, brighter, and more beautiful perspective for the future. So understand that that is the purpose behind this dismantling or this destruction. It's making way for the future, a future you could not have possibly seen had this tower remained intact. Okay? So allow this tower to fall. The future is looking a lot brighter because of it. Right. Next up, Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. It's all right, Linda. You're late, but you're here. That's the most important thing. Capricorn, we've got the Moon card. You guys are also in your feelings this week, but it's almost like you are analyzing your inner world in order to make changes or in order to position yourself better for success. You're understanding this week that it's not just about your resources. It's not just about the plan that you put in place. It's almost like it's also about the psychology behind why you want this success. The obstacles that have come in your way or the challenges that you're anticipating facing as you move toward this thing that you want to achieve, it's like you want to understand them. You want to have a really firm grasp of the psychology behind all of these things, right? So this is a very introspective week for you, Cap. I feel like you're really examining yourself, examining your psyche. For some, this may be a week where maybe you are talking to a therapist, seeing a therapist, getting professional advice about something, but understanding the inner workings of your mind or the inner workings of a situation in order to position yourself better for success. So introspective week, but very important work, very important inner work to be done this week for you. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this week. Aquarius, we've got the Five of Wands, conflict. And to me, this feels external. So this could be conflict with someone, conflict or competition. It's this energy of anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. So you may be going toe to toe with somebody. There may be someone, and this could be, keep in mind, this could be like a silent competition. So this could be like you could be beefing with someone and they don't even know, or someone could be beefing with you and you don't even know. But there's this comparison, this competition that's going on right now. And if you are aware of it, allow it to be a situation where iron sharpens iron. So this competition, this conflict, it's more so about getting you to be the best version of yourself. Rather than looking at yourself rather than allowing feelings of jealousy or envy to surface where you're like, that person's doing this, I could do it better, or I don't understand why they're doing this. Take the focus off them and put it on yourself and be like, listen, this person's doing this. Let me improve myself. Let me tighten my game up. Let me step my game up and become better. Allow this to fuel your self-improvement rather than just letting it be a pissing contest or a situation where you're doubting yourself or your insecurities are taking control of the situation. Use this conflict, this competition as self-improvement, as fuel for self-improvement. Okay? And finally, last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. See what we've got for Pisces for this week. Your card just shot out, Pisces. We've got the King of Pentacles. Money, 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 money. This could be someone that holds money, someone that's doling out money. It's a situation involving work, livelihood, money, or a boss. I'm definitely getting a boss type of energy. And conversations about money. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's like negotiating a salary. I feel like it's getting clear on how much you're going to be paid for the project. It's just money conversations with a boss, with a superior, with a manager or advisor, right? I just feel like this is a week where you're getting your money in order. You're getting your ducks in a row. It doesn't feel very futuristic though. So it doesn't feel like, okay, I am thinking about making $1 million over the next couple of years. I feel like, remember how I said, with all of this Aquarius energy, we may be really focused on the future, but not present. For you, Pisces, it's going to be very important to be present because there's important money conversations that need to happen right now that are affecting your bottom line right now. Okay, so I just see a lot of money moves, money conversations with a boss or superior. Keep in mind that you need to have these conversations from a very present, grounded, and rooted sort of space. All right, my loves. So that concludes this edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new week. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for this new week. Again, look out for my video on Wednesday all about that new moon in Aquarius. If not, happy new moon in Aquarius, and I will see you in my next broadcast. All right, my loves, take care and have an amazing week.